Hello, I'm Dr. Sarah DeFrancesco, and today I want to talk to you about anxiety and inflammation. So a lot of people ask me, how is this connected and what can they do about it? So let's dive in. So the first thing to understand is that inflammation can come from a lot of different places. It can come from a poor diet, from a toxic environment, and from stress. It can also come from internal infections. So one of the places, and you guys have heard me talk about this a lot, is one of the most common places to have an infection is in the gut. Now, the gut and the brain are intimately connected, and the way that they are connected is through something called the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve is called the wandering nerve. That's what vagus means, and it means that it travels all the way from your brain down the front of your throat, through all your visceral organs, and down into your gut. Now, you might think that the vagus nerve is mostly there for the brain to tell the gut what to do, but it's exactly the opposite. Up to 90% of the fibers of the vagus nerve are actually for the gut to tell the brain what's going on. So when we have inflammation in the gut and inflammation in other places in the body, the vagus nerve is sensing that and it's communicating that to the brain. And that causes the brain to interpret that as a signal of danger. And then you can experience the feeling of anxiety and depression. So, for example, think about the last time that you experienced an acute digestive illness. So whether that was traveler's diarrhea or food poisoning or a digestive flu that was happening in your community. Now, if you can remember back to that, think about how you felt. You might have felt like a little bit of social anxiety and wanted to really isolate yourself. And especially when you first kind of get that feeling like, something is not quite right, but I'm not sure what. It's sort of like, hey, I got to get out of here. Now, this feeling of, having some social anxiety, wanting to isolate yourself, and just in general feeling that malaise where you just don't want to be around people, this is what is called sick syndrome, and it's what happens to animals and humans when we have an infection or we have a high level of inflammation. Now, on a daily basis, what a lot of people are experiencing is a lower level of chronic inflammation. So the symptoms are not as severe, but they can be interpreted by the brain in much the same way. And what happens is when the inflammation is communicated to the brain, now instead of producing serotonin to make us happy, dopamine to keep us focused, and GABA to make us feel relaxed, the brain instead starts producing inflammatory cytokines, and this is what causes feelings of anxiety and depression. So this is one major root cause for anxiety and depression to look into if you're experiencing that, and I'll give you a few tips to get started. So number one is always take care of the gut first. We need to stop the inflammation in the most likely place where it starts. So improving your nutrition and also making sure that you are feeding your microbiome by eating a diverse amount of different types of vegetables. And by the way, the microbiome, this means the gut bugs that are actually healthy for you. And we want to make sure that you have a diverse population so that they're doing all the things they need to do. Gut bugs can actually help you convert your food into nutrients, and they also help you make neurotransmitters, which is pretty cool. The next thing is to deal with stress. So stress is a major contributor to anxiety and depression, and that's because when we're stressed, we produce a lot of cortisol. Cortisol is our stress hormone, and it actually suppresses digestive function, and it can make us feel anxious when we have too much, and it can also disturb sleep. And so the third thing is to make sure that you're getting enough sleep. Sleep is absolutely crucial for your brain to detox and for all of your body systems to heal. So I hope that's helpful. Subscribe to hear more and let me know what your questions are in the comments. I'm always happy to make a video just for you and get your questions answered. Boom, 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 boom. That's how it's done. That's how it's done. Woo!